How's Matthew?
He's good. He's home today because he has a job interview in the morning for the summer. So
Spring break start next week?
they're it's gonna be in 2 weeks.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome this Shabbat evening as we gather for Shabbat prayer and reflection and to begin the celebration of Abby Adler becoming Bat Mitzvah. To begin that celebration, I invite Abby to come forward with her parents and her siblings for the opening blessings of sanctifying the light of Shabbat and the sweetness of the fruit of the vine for Shabbat.
You can do it, Abs.
Our blessing for the Shabbat candles is on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai,
And
melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Abby, if you'll take the Kiddush cup. We bless the fruit of the vine on page 5 with the Shabbat Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodesho Be'ahava uveratzon hinchi lanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodeshecha b'ahava uveratzon hinechalatanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-shabbat. Amen. Go ahead and have some. L'chaim. Thank you. We will continue on page 9 as we read responsively by paragraph. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain.
On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share.
There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Pages 20 and 21, we symbolically welcome the Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litehillah. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'neilcha, Ki mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh v'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, Ki va'orech kumi ori, Uri, shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alai rise for verse 9. Shalom ateret ba'ala, gam v'simcha uvetzona, toch emunei am segula, vo'ichala, lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Page 26, Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'alma divarach chirutei v'amlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izmar kari v'imeru Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevarach Elam B'lial Me'al Mayam Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitaleh V'yithalal Shemei Dekudeshah Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran me'alma v'imeru. Amen. Page 28 is our call to prayer, Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Let's read together at the top of page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Pages 34 and 35, Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We will continue on page 36 with the next paragraph of Shema. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi Mitzavecha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha vidibartam bam bishivtecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvekumecha ukashartam leot al yadecha V'hayu letotafot bein einecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Let's read together at the top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40, Micha Mocha. Page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, V'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 44, V'shamru.
Dorotam
We turn now to page 46 and rise for tefillah.
Adonai sifata tiftach ufia gita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Page 48. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanorah El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo V'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, page 50. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim. Somech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umelach, melech memit, umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Yehi ha'akol, page 52, Atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, Ukadoshim b'chol yom, Yehallelujah selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Hail HaKadosh. Please be seated. Page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We pause now for a few moments of quiet reflection, either the words on page 63, or whatever prayers our hearts may prompt, followed by Yehiyu l'ratzon, may the words of my mouth on page 62. We continue on page 253 as we turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing of body and spirit. Mi sheberach avotenu ve'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, ve'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. This Shabbat we think especially of the following people: Alan Brockman, Dolores Brubaker, Dr. Sarah Chabin, Mike Carbone, Arlene Collins, Esther Huldabat Sarah, Valerie Frank, Dr. Dennis Glazer, Alex Goldstein, Clara Gilliams, Jillian Hartman, Elizabeth Hyder, Kate Lane, Richard Lehrer, Jody Lokshin, Judine Luntz, Dr. Robert H. Martin, Alan Rothman, Rob Schweitzer, Pat Sherman, Mark Sirac, Sharon Smith, Kristen Spetich, Kelly Swab, Barbara Turkeltaub, David Waltz, Malka Wayne, Florence Weaver, and Bruce White. If you have others about whom you're thinking and would like to share their names aloud, I invite you to do so now. The middle of page 253. Page 259. Please rise for the prayer for Israel. Avinu, Avinu, Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'go alo. Barech, Barech, et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit tzmichat geulateinu. Hagen aleha be'evrat chasdecha, uferohos aleha sukat shalomecha. Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'go alo. Zion Sophia, Od lo avda tikvateinu, Yerushalayim, Ki otam choshi be'artzeinu, Eretz Tziyon, Yerushalayim. Please be seated. Shabbat Shalom. The Torah portion this week is Parashat Terumah. Did I get that right, Abby? That's what you've been preparing for, is Parashat Terumah. And it's a change in mood from what we've been reading over the last several weeks. There was a lot of drama a few weeks ago when the children of Israel stood at the foot of Mount Sinai while God revealed the law to Moses, and our people were, as usual, very patient. Not too long from now, we'll be reading about the golden calf, and the story takes a lovely turn. But this week, we deal with other things that are of intrinsic value, some of which are golden, none of which is a calf. We move from the drama of revelation atop a mountain to the very particular details of building the tabernacle. A list of regulations last week in Mishpatim is followed by a detail of blueprints and measurements, fabrics and precious metals, and all of the designs that were necessary for building a sacred space, to build a mishkan or a mikdash, a place where God would dwell. This portable sanctuary was to be built in the wilderness by people who had just been freed from slavery, and somehow or other they were going to bring materials voluntarily, things given from the heart, things made out of gold and silver and acacia wood, the usual stuff that you schlep with you on a journey which they don't yet know is going to be 40 years. This Mishkan would be an extraordinary project, not because of the physical beauty, but because of what this Mishkan would represent. It would become the place for God to dwell amongst and within the people. Because we are surrounded by beauty when trying to get close to a God who is without physical characteristics. And this is one of the things that makes Judaism difficult to practice with faith, because we cannot see what God looks like, and we're prohibited from creating idols. So we have to suspend disbelief and worship something we cannot see, and something which cannot be contained by our physical world. Likewise, Shabbat is something set aside. So the Mishkan is this island in the desert, a place for God to dwell without us seeing God. And Shabbat, given a few weeks ago in the Ten Commandments, is this place in time set apart from everything else, a place and a time for reflection and refreshment. Because we know that the story of the children of Israel wandering through the desert, and then everything that would come afterward, including up to the present moment, is not always easy. It's easy to give thanks and to praise God when everything is going well. But when things are troubling, when times are uncertain, when there are crises, when we lack faith, to where do we turn? We build sacred spaces in time, sacred spaces within ourselves, so that we can build up from within, even when it seems like everything around us is being torn down. One of the verses that Abby will read for us tomorrow is Exodus 25:8. Ve'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham. Our ancestors were commanded, let them make me a sanctuary, and I will dwell among them. Not dwell in the sanctuary, but dwell among the people. Because this Mishkan, this tabernacle, was not just a building. It was a sign of God's presence among the people. And in times of doubt and crisis, our challenge, even to this day, is to create spaces where God can dwell within us and among us, where holiness can be found not just in a physical place, but in our actions, in our compassion, and in our unity. Right now, there is uncertainty in the world, and people are in fear and in pain. People are grieving and frightened and exhausted. And yet, if we look closely, we can find acts of chesed, of kindness, acts of solidarity, of spiritual resilience. We see people rallying together, opening their homes and their hearts with prayers being lifted up. And we see in these acts the Mishkan, the tabernacle, being built anew, not from gold and silver and acacia wood, but from the same spirit that guided our ancestors in the wilderness, gifts from the heart. I want to give you a physical image of what the tabernacle looked like and suggest that there may be within the very particular dimensions of the tabernacle and the sacred objects that were to be contained in there, some symbols that can be of use to us. One of those symbols in the Mishkan of the Ark was these two keruvim. The word keruv means to draw close. We usually translate the word keruvim as cherubs. For some reason, I always think of the Gerber baby as this cherubic face. That is not what the cherubs looked like. They were, in fact, quite frightening. They had wings outstretched, and on the ark, these two keruvim, these two cherubs, faced each other. And the Talmud teaches that when our people lived in harmony and unity, the keruvim, these cherubs, would face each other in the tabernacle. But when our people turned away and fought, the keruvim, the cherubs, would turn away from each other. Political and ideological fractures, everything going on in the world today that seeks to divide one person from another, we can understand as a way for us to turn away from each other, to turn our backs on each other, instead of doing what God would do with the children of Israel, which is to reveal parts of God's self. And what in 2 weeks' time in the Torah portion we will read, God revealing something of God's majesty and presence to Moses. When we refuse to look away and instead look at each other, God can dwell within us. And then we build a mikdash, a mishkan, a place for God to be with us. This message of building a sanctuary is especially meaningful this Shabbat, as it is the coincidence of the beginning of the month of Adar, the month of happiness and joy. Just as it is February 28th, turning now to March 1st, this Shabbat is Rosh Chodesh Adar, the beginning of the month of Adar, and it is Abby Adler becoming bat mitzvah. Just as our ancestors brought gifts to construct the Mishkan in the wilderness, Abby has been busy over the last year plus gathering her own materials, many of them pink, but it is not the tangible things, it is the intangible things. It is her learning, it is her mitzvah project, it is her growing into Jewish adulthood. These help her to build a sacred space within herself, and she is fortunate to be nurtured in this by her siblings, by her parents, by her grandparents, by aunts and uncles and cousins, and a wonderful group of friends who are like family to her. Abby, becoming a bat mitzvah is about taking responsibility for your place in the Jewish community. It's about facing others with kindness. It's about standing up in times of challenge and ensuring that the values of our text, which you will read tomorrow, are alive in your everyday actions. Because like the Mishkan, Abby reminds us that even when times are uncertain, it is possible to create what Heschel called islands in time, spaces of holiness through the way that we live. The Mishkan that was built in the wilderness being a place of uncertainty, fear, and impermanence, and yet it was there, in that most fragile setting, that God's presence rested. And maybe this is our lesson for Parashat Trumah at a time of uncertainty such as this, that even Bamidbar, even when we wander in the desert, we can create holiness. Even in the brokenness of 10 Commandments, we can build sanctuaries. And even in the most difficult moments, God is still dwelling among us and within us if we open our hearts and our hands to build, if we have the courage not to face away from each other, but toward each other. Abby, tomorrow morning you will ascend the Bima, and you will read from the Torah, and you will share your reflections on these verses' meanings in your life. And so this is my prayer for you, that as you ascend the Bima tomorrow, and as February turns to March, and the month becomes Adar, a time of joy, that you will always be one of the people who is an architect of holiness, building a Mishkan wherever you go, and that you will be one who build resilience. You are already an accomplished dancer and a musician. You bring your very best to what you do. And think of dance and your music where you take something physical, your body and your breath, and you turn it into art. And so as you grow, may you continue to be an example of how people can face one another with love and use the gifts of our minds and bodies and spirits always to be places where God's presence can dwell within us. No pressure. You're 13, you have a lifetime on which to work with this, but you are blessed to have a community of people who will never turn away from you, but always turn toward you with love and joy. Mazel tov. With that, I invite the president of our congregation, Barb Spira, to offer words of Shabbat greeting.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Susie, for leading our music. Mazel tov to the Adler family on their Simcha this weekend. And thank you for sponsoring the Owning Shabbat this evening. Please consult your service handout and our website for all the upcoming programs. We have exciting Passover opportunities and more on the horizon. There are ongoing social action projects that need support and volunteers, and we welcome your participation. Shabbat Shalom.
We continue now on page 282. Page 282. And Abby, will you join me at the Ark for Aleinu L'Shabach? Sam, you want to come? Want to come open the Ark door? Come on down. You want in on this, Noam? You want some of this action? You can come up. You can come up. Page 282. You can be the two cherubs, and you can face each other and open the Ark. Come on down. Sam, you take that. You want to open the curtains? Sam, will you open the curtains for me? I promise you. Ta-da! Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo samchelkenu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamalachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai. Shema Page 294. As we prepare to recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, we recall those who died at this season in years past. We remember Elias Adolph, Eli Barat, Rose Burke, Wolford Bryan, Louise Chester, Ernest Cohen, Sidney Cohen, Joy Corman, Lynn Cohen-Dudnick, William B. Erlanger, Ann C. Feingold, Dr. Henry H. Fladen, Bert Fehrman, Richard M. Ginsberg, Bessie Lee Goodman, Madeline Graytop, Harold Greenberg, Gertrude M. Greenberger, Rosa Grossman, Simon Grubman, Louis Heller, Elaine Jacobson, Rose Kamenetsky, Lucy Klotz, Howard L. Crewman, Roselle Levin, Ida Levine, Leon Lichtenberg, Abe Luntz, Frida Miller, Nathan Miller, Max Miller, Estelle R. Ortman, Harry Salomon, Ellis Saul, Hugo Schlackett, Sidney Silverman, Samuel Sklar, Catherine M. Steinbaugh, Paul Weinberg, Charles Wolk, Jacob Kobe Wohl, and Chaya Zahori. And we remember one who died in more recent days, Yvonne Burkhart. If you have other names to share for Kaddish, I invite you to share those now.
Bruce Cashman.
Thank you.
Rose Giron.
Thank you.
Martin. Rose Holden.
Thank you.
Margie Bell Sachs.
Thank you. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'alma divarach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'achayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael,
Please be seated. Except for the Adlers, again, come on down. Abby and her family opened our service by sanctifying the light and the brightness of Shabbat and the sweetness of Shabbat, and they prepared to conclude our time together by offering the blessing over the bread. And this is a challah that is pink on purpose. I have been known to pull things out of my refrigerator in the office sometimes that are pink by accident. Apparently, certain items have shelf lives of which I am not aware. But this is a Ronit challah that does it look pink on the inside? Medium rare. you pick up the whole thing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. We're going to take a piece. Go ahead. We trust you to unwrap it. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, go ahead. And then at the conclusion of the service, everyone is welcome to come help yourselves. Yeah, she's allowed. You're all allowed.
Just
then you can
stop being weird.
Susie will lead us now in Ma Yafeh Hayom at the bottom of page 330. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Abby, throughout your life, I hope that you encounter countless people who impress you in a positive way, and I hope that a couple of them are rabbis. So I'm going to invite one I know who has impressed you, Rabbi Spitzer, to come forward to offer Birkat HaKohanim, because Rabbi Spitzer has been with your family for many special and happy occasions. And I don't know if you remember this from your sister's bat mitzvah. I told this story that one of the rabbis who married your parents also named my daughter, and your parents are still married, and my daughter has kept that name for 25 years. So I know that Rabbi Spitzer's guarantee is good for many, many years to come. So Rabbi Spitzer will conclude our service by offering Birkat HaKohanim, the priestly blessing.
You've got to warm up for this. What a joy it is to be together with this family, which has developed over the years not only good humor, but such a beautiful crop of children. It is my great pleasure. All this
Get your money with the ball.